I love it. So I added something else in. Same
And
tip.
it's just as nice.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah, there's something to be said about looking to shop at family businesses. Right, the heart of America.
Oh, you've been there a long time.
1976 class.
So next year's 50 years.
Final question, up here, you used to have a long picture, there were pictures put together. The Woodstock Village Green during the 1969, sat up there for 20 years. When you redid in here, you know where you put it, or did you give it?
I couldn't tell you right this instant, but it's around.
I know where it is. It's over in the storage.
We should,
If
everything.
I'm gonna take liberties on this, but if you're gonna keep it in storage, then would you just give it to the museum? That was a donation from my father to the town.
We are waiting for Richard Captain of the town store to come up and decorate the walls for us.
So, yeah, I didn't.
I anticipate it'll be going back on.
Wherever it goes, I'm happy, but that was, and so that people could enjoy it.
Yeah.
Or a great collection.
Yeah, that was done the very day in the middle of the concert.
Wow. 69.
Yeah, it was that during that weekend that Bruce took those pictures all through the entire town of picture by picture by picture and put them all together.
Couple of minutes till 7.
Yes.
My file is on that flash drive. We want to grab it now so that you can make it available to people, not to show it, but to just have it. So,
This laptop is not connected.
okay,
That's the way we write.
okay.
So if I put it on here, then,
There's no.
right, so we can either do it after the meeting or you can send it to me.
All right, I'll send it to you. It's easier. So, I don't want to. I'm gonna go in there, but-
Can you give me an example of your speaking voice?
Yeah. It'll be plenty loud.
No, I know that, I don't want to do it, I don't want to turn it up too much.
It's hard for me to say. Can you just, you'll.
Well, I mean, I operate baritone, so I always ask to give a sample.
Right.
I'll start low.
Sarah.
Thank you.
This number.
Thank you.
When we're down. Yes.
How nice we all have time.
And the more I go, the more I laugh.
Oh, you might click the OK at the top. Just means for me to record it.
That really doesn't matter.
Yeah, we had a very nice conversation.
Yeah.
He was there.
That really doesn't matter.
Situation.
It's blue and it clicks.
It's distracting. Gotcha. We don't want distractions.
My mind wanders enough.
ADHD?
There's also.
Yeah, different acronyms than what I had.
No road.
Yes. For a while I had CDO. As we had, I had CDO, that's OCD, but with the letters in the right order.
Born and raised in Stockton, that's what's right back.
The county is. Listen, never. Hey, folks, 7 o'clock, so I'm gonna call the meeting of the Woodstock Town Board for August 19th, business meeting to order. First order of business is to stand and pledge the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Second order of business, we have Dr. Eve Walter here to give us a little overview of the county health department.
Yeah.
Welcome to Woodstock.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so I'm Eve Walter. I've been, started as the head of the Department of Health back in October, and, I've been doing a tour of the county, going around to the town and villages across our county to introduce myself, to introduce the Department of Health, what we do, and also what we do specifically here in your municipality. So I like this first slide because it shows that we got established in 1947. So we've been here in Ulster County for a very, very long time, longer than I have. And our mission is to protect, promote, and improve the health and well-being of all residents in Ulster County to achieve the best quality at all stages of life. So, local departments of health are actually extensions of the state Department of Health, that we are mandated to do certain services based on an established law, which is Public Health Law 602. So these are core services that we have to do sort of on the part of the state. That includes communicable disease control, chronic disease prevention, environmental health, family health, public health emergency preparedness, education, and the development of public health policies. It's kind of, there's the good side and the downside of being this kind of extension of New York State's Department of Health. The positive thing is almost every service that we do in a local Department of Health is paid for through the state. That unlike most of the departments in the county, we are almost fully, they call it grant funded, but it's not competitive in that way, but we're almost fully funded. Very little of the local tax dollars pay for the services. It's mostly, I mean, it's your tax dollars, but it goes all the way up to the state before coming back down to us. But that's where we are. The downside of it is that we are limited in some ways because of this, because the state mandates the services we do. They also create regulations around when we could do it, how much we could do, where we could do. So there might be a program that I'm allowed to do in one municipality that I'm really not allowed to do in another because the state hadn't determined that that other municipality needs it. So it has its good and bad. I'm not fully operating only within the state, so I'm going to show you sort of how I fit into this and also how we expand beyond that. So these are all the divisions in the Department of Health. We're currently about 80 people work for me in the Department of Health. In the orange are my divisions that are directly coming from the state funding, state mandates. So that includes my division of family health, community health, public health preparedness, and environmental health. In addition, Ulster County holds the grant for the Women, Infant, and Children WIC program. In different counties, different entities will have that WIC program. In Ulster County for a very long time, it's been the County Department of Health that has housed WIC. We also have a medical examiner's office. Counties have the option of having a coroner's or a medical examiner, depending on the size. We have a true medical examiner, a forensic pathologist, and that is not covered through the state funding. We have to have it, but it is coming from your local tax-paying money to pay for our medical examiner's office. So I'm going to go through each of these. So for family health, we offer free immunizations for adults and children who either have no insurance or are underinsured. So by underinsured, if your insurance doesn't cover enough of it, we will do it for you for free. We also are starting a program to do home visits for high-risk babies or high-risk pregnancies. That might be a mother who had gestational diabetes or gestational hypertension or preeclampsia, or the child was born very small, premature. We have sexually transmitted infection STI clinics every week. So a person can come and just get tested and we do treatment. But also, if an individual has an STI and it comes to the attention of their doctor, we're informed and we'll reach out, communicate with the person, make sure they're on treatment, identify if there's any other people in their circle who might need to get tested. We also do that for tuberculosis. We have a clinic once a month, but in addition, if anyone has tuberculosis in the county, we are informed. This is kind of interesting because when you have tuberculosis, you need to be isolated for like 5 to 8 days and on medication every single day. So one of our family health nurses goes to the person's home every single day, delivers the medication through the whole time that person's in isolation. Our Women, Infant, and Children's program is nutritional program for mothers and children. This includes SNAP enrollment, breastfeeding education, and nutritional education. This is for children up to the age of 5. What's nice, SNAP, people can get on SNAP in other ways besides WIC. What I personally like about the WIC is anyone who's getting SNAP through our WIC through the state WIC program have an app. And so when they go shopping in the supermarket, they can scan QR codes and it will tell them whether it's SNAP covered so that they don't have to go in front of the cash register and be told they're not allowed to have those items. So it avoids that kind of embarrassment. Our environmental health division is our largest division. So we protect public water sources and approve water and septic plans for any new developments, ensure safe food preparation, your restaurants and your food vendors, safe children's camps, public pools and beaches, safe migrant farm work housing, mobile home parks, and temporary residence, which would be your hotels and your motels. We also have lead poisoning prevention program. There's a few ways that people will come to our attention. So one is just voluntary. If you live in this county, and particularly if you have a home that was built before 1980 and you're concerned about lead, or you're concerned about your neighbor's lead or your family member's lead, you can contact us and we'll send a lead technician in with some fancy equipment to test whether there's lead there. The thing is, that's totally voluntary. However, if we find lead, it stops being voluntary because then we're mandated by the state to stick with you or the owner until it's remediated. So then the owner's required to have a work plan that we approve and the remediation is required, or there is a fine and a penalty. The second way is if any child in Ulster County is identified as having an elevated blood level, a lead blood level, we are informed, and all the mandate starts with that as well. So we have our nurses and family services who work with the family and the children until the child is cleared, their lead level is reduced. And our lead technicians are in the house testing it and working with the owners of the house to make sure it is remediated. We also respond to rabies concerns. So if there is an exposure to a potentially rabid animal, the person's concerned, our people will go out and collect just the head because that's all they need to test it. And if a person might be in contact, they can talk to someone from Department of Health, talk through whether they do need a prophylactic treatment. If they go to Westchester Medical Center and one of our people identify that it is best for you to get that kind of treatment, we at the Department of Health pay for it, which it's very, very expensive. So it's very helpful having that. People can reach out to us about insect-borne, namely ticks is what the common call. Usually what happens is our health educators will talk to you about the size of the tick, what the tick looks like. You can send in a photo of it, how long it's been on you. We do test ticks, but we are very sensitive to make it clear a tick could hold a virus. It doesn't mean you have the virus. a tick could be virus free, it doesn't mean you don't have the virus. So we do test it, but not for diagnostic purposes for the people. It just allows us for surveillance purposes to have a sense of what kinds of viruses are around. But it's really important, we do not diagnose a person having a tick-borne illness. We regulate illegal tobacco sales and vape sales. So that tobacco sales is sales of tobacco to minors. So we have a young person every summer who's under 18 who actually goes to these different vendors across the county and tries to buy cigarettes. If the vendor sells cigarettes to them, our inspector comes right in, issues them a violation, because that's not allowed at all. For vape sales, there are several vapes that are illegal. It gets very, very confusing because the FDA keeps deciding to approve a new type. But basically we are on the lookout for any of the illegal flavored vapes. Also, there are vapes coming in from China that are not even in our economic system, that kind of, we don't even know that they're there. So we look for those, and if we find them, we issue a violation as well for that. Our community health division, this is where we're connected with different organizations across the county and different coalitions. So we have our Healthy Ulster County Coalition. We also, this is where we do our education and promotion. So we have media education, radio, billboards, buses, social media. And we also do presentations at fairs, events, organizations, and schools. Anyone go to the Ulster County Fair? I went. I was there almost every day. Well, what you missed, which I'm feeling very proud of myself in retrospect, is I got 3,000 bright green or yellow cooling towels. It said Department of Health, and on those first 2 days, and we had a nice wet thing, and we had ice water, and we rinsed them off. And at one point, I was walking through the fair, and every fourth person had that around their neck. I was like, oh, that was good. We also did blood pressure readings, and anyone who was identified as being at risk, we sent them home with a free blood pressure monitor to have at home. We'll go to schools. You want us at schools, we'll go to schools. You go any, we're out there, we're looking to get to as many parts of the county as possible. Our public health preparedness. So we work in partnership with the Ulster County Emergency Response. That's a whole different department, but we share preparedness together. So we have a Medical Reserve Corps, an MRC, that's both emergency response and Department of Health. But we also have a very different lens than emergency response in terms of disease outbreaks, whether it's an emerging disease that we've never seen before, one that has a vaccine, but also weather-related events. We view this a little bit different from emergency response. So for example, if there's a massive flood and a power outage, emergency response needs to make sure everybody's on safe grounds, everybody is, protected in those ways. From a public health preparedness, if the power's out, my concern is, well, any person who might be on a medication that needs to be refrigerated, how are they going to refrigerate that? Like people who have diabetes and have insulin. Does anyone know anyone who has to have a medication that needs refrigeration? Oh, we got two. All right. So this says medication don't leave behind. So if it's a stressful situation, the person leaves it behind, someone will pick it up. Has an ice pack that can stay nice and cool, and it's designed to hold your medication and keep them nice and cool if you ever have power outage or person you know does. Thank you. You're welcome. All right, our medical examiner's office investigates deaths that can affect public interest, such as sudden unexpected or unexplained deaths. Oh. So this is a fun part for me. Every summer, we hire about 10 aides they get about 350 hours, up to 350 hours working for us. And they do everything. So they go around and they might do they're not leading it, but they go along with our sanitarians or our techs. They do restaurant inspections, camp inspections, pool inspections, lead inspections. They help with data. They help with all a bunch of stuff. So the reason why I'm telling you is twofold. One, Every summer we hire 10 of them. It's a great experience. We've even hired some young people and they've never left us because we're full-time hiring 2 of them that we had this summer because they were so amazing. So when it comes closer to the summer, look for the Department of Health, and it's called Environmental Health Aid. Tell those people, even if you're a teacher and you're off in the summer and you want to come do it, that we're open. We've had those as well. But the second part is sometimes they have downtime. And so I told them, when you have nothing to do, you need to work on the slides for my tour of the county. So each different aides would just produce it and all of a sudden send me an email with that town. And so I don't really see what it looks like. We kind of stick it in there. So this is my first time to see it. So that's fun for me. And the other important thing to say is if there's a mistake, it's not me, it's them. So what do we do for Woodstock? So in terms of children's camps, Department of Health inspects 3 children's camps, including Town of Woodstock Rec, Wayfinders, and Xena Rec. Camps are very complicated, depending especially if it's a sleepaway or if it's a day camp, but camps often have food we need to check, housing we need to check, water where they're swimming that we need to check. So we often have a team of 3 or 4 people having to go to a camp to inspect it. Plus, there's a lot of requirements of what the campers need to have, the counselors need to have. Our camp inspection notebooks are gigantic. In terms of pools and beaches, you have 1 swimming pool that we inspect, that's Xena Rec. And that includes also making sure all the lifeguards have all of the necessary things that they have in place. And if there is ever a drowning, we are required to go in and do a full investigation of the situation. In terms of food services, you have 36 food vendors, 35 of them are food service establishments. That's so funny. It's a restaurant. Yeah, it's the aids, and 1 mobile unit.
Who's the one mobile?
In terms of the temporary residents or the hotel motels, you have 6 of those that we inspect, including Twin Gables, Hotel Woodstock, and Woodstock Way. For water and septic systems, in the past year, we've permitted 3 water systems and 30 septic systems in Woodstock. So in closing, these are the 4 kind of priorities that I've set for myself and for our department going forward. 1 is improving trust in public health. I know that the trust in public health nationally has declined. COVID was really rough on public health because, as we all know, it's just when people are bombarded with so many different messages that contradict each other, it's hard to know who to trust. It's important to me that when these messages happen, should there be a significant event that we have here in Ulster County, I want the people in Ulster County to at least say, well, my Department of Health is here for me. So I'm going to hear what they are saying. I'm going to trust what they're saying, because there's the only way I can help protect is if people trust us. Improve awareness of our programs. One way to trust us is to know what we do. And so that's partly me going around to all of the towns and villages in Ulster County so that people are aware of what we do. I imagine today, if I'm not the person in Ulster County who's been to more different town meetings, I have to be within the handful of people who've gone to the most different town meetings, and it's amazing because they're all like, the buildings are different, the people are different, but it's been incredible going around to this entire massive county. It's also important because our programs are for you. And if you all don't know what we're doing, then how are you going to take advantage of that? The third is to identify and meet unmet needs. I'm trying to accomplish this in a couple of ways. 1, we are required also by the state it used to be 3 years, it's now 5 years, doing a community health assessment. In the past, before I got there, the Department of Health kind of did a county level community health assessment. I'm an epidemiologist. I've been, doing kind of research and other work and in this county for a long time and even trying to get grants to do programs. Ulster County suffers by the law of averages. On average, we're fine. We really are. We're not more interesting and more needy than other places. So we often lose access to grants for programs compared to the city and other places because we are on average fine. But on a granular level, some of our pockets aren't fine. And we have health disparities. We have some communities that have some things impacting them more than others. So for this year's community health assessment and going forward, I've gotten the granular data of hospital emergency rooms and hospitalizations, deaths, primary care data, so that I can really understand on a zip code level and by different kinds of socioeconomic factors and social determinants, what is really happening in our county in these different places. And so that I can understand, is there a higher, unusually high rate of asthma hospitalizations in this corner? And if it is, what programs could we do to respond to that? So that's really exciting that we're putting in, and I had 4 aides working with me, and I still have 2 left on that. The other thing is part of these town visits. Like, now you see me, you know my face. Maybe there's something that we're missing that that Woodstock knows could be useful that we're not doing that we could. So for example, in one town, they brought up that they have a high senior citizen population, and they would love if our nurses could come and do a fall risk assessment in the homes. And I was like, we don't. I would have to figure out how to find the funding to get that to work, but it's a great idea. It's really important, and I'm going to figure out how to get us to that place. But I wouldn't know, and if somebody did bring up, like, this is a concern that we have in our community. And then the last thing is just to be prepared. I don't want us to be figuring out how to handle emergency situations in real time. There's no reason for it, and so we put a lot of time and energy. We have a bi-weekly meeting where we are working on the playbook of what to do in as many situations as possible, having the supplies and surplus that we need in advance, knowing what our staffing needs would be in every single level of emergent issues, so that we are ready to handle whatever comes our way in advance. That's it. Didn't take too long. I'm happy to take any questions that anyone has.
Any questions from the board? Bennett?
First, thank you very much and welcome to Woodstock. I'm glad to see you here. I think that public health is probably one of the most important things that our governments can do. And I'm glad to see that there's a doctor, a PhD at the head of the Ulster County Department of Health. So thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. I'm interested in learning more about the camp inspection and the town camp inspection in particular, and was wondering if you would be able to share that data with the board that you have, the board that you have.
I will, I mean, it's the town's camp.
Yes.
Then you should get, any type of inspection we do, whoever is the entity that we've inspected gets the report, including anything that if there's any concerns or anything. So it should be available to probably your rec department. So you see it. I will say the nice thing is if something is open, everything's okay, right? Because if something's not okay, we won't let you open. But yeah, I'm guessing you have it.
Okay, great. I'd like to see a copy of that. That would be terrific.
Email.
Okay, terrific. And second, could you tell me a little bit more about the community health assessment? It's gonna be like a data dive by municipalities, or what is, could you expand a little bit?
So, as I said earlier, I managed to get, it's called Sparks data, hospitalization data that includes any emergency room visit and any hospitalization of anyone who lives in Ulster County for 2024. Vital stats, any deaths that happened in 2024. I don't have the names of people, but I have basic socio-demographic information on them. In addition, I have access to a lot of the primary care agencies as well as the hospitals we have what's called a RIO I shouldn't say that without knowing what the acronym stands for, but it's basically, there is a system where all of the health entities shoot up their information into one place. And so we, as a Department of Health, have special rights to access that information if it's for the purposes of surveillance. So I'm able to pull down that kind of information as well. And I have it by zip code and everything like that. So I have this brilliant data analyst who's actually making what's called a GIS story map. So it's going to be this visual that allows you to hit different elements and it'll show you the maps and show you how things are distributed. We did a community-based survey that gets more on social determinants of health, and those kinds of factors. It is due to the state by December 2025, so I have until November to kind of finish it up. What's happened second is we take those data and we meet with a coalition, usually the people in our Healthy Ulster Council, because they come from all over the county. And we say, all right, this is what the data says. What should be our priorities for the next 5 years? So it's not me making the decision, it's a whole slew of people. We base those priorities on, is there an intervention that we could even do? Like, because if there's not, then that's hard to make a priority. Will it hit a lot of people? And then, of course, is the prevalence or incidence particularly high? So we do a whole process to really identify what we're doing. And then that is our playbook in terms of health promotion for the next 5 years of trying to move the dial on those priorities.
So will we get a look at that?
Yes,
in December or?
It's required to be posted on our our website, both because I want to and because I'm required to, as will our chip. So that, in fact, that's what the state's looking for as my deliverable, is they see it on our website.
All right, thank you very much.
I have a quick question. You mentioned seniors and fall risk assessments. We have a very high percentage of seniors living here in Woodstock. Do you work with Susan Copenhaver at the, you know?
Yeah,
for the agents?
yes. I mean, we're all kind of under the same deputy executive and try to partner with each other as much as possible. In fact, she had a lot of my surveys were done by people that she managed to pull together for me. So Susan's great.
Yeah.
I will say, I can't force my colleagues to come here, but I remember seeing the flyer for Department of Aging, and I was in awe of all of the services and programs they do. So if you don't have the flyer for Department of Aging, you can get it off the website. You will be amazed. Like, it'll drive people to doctor's appointments. There's legal services. It's incredible. And so, yeah.
Yeah, Susan's great, and she's on our advisory board for Home Share Woodstock, so her resources
Yeah.
have been really invaluable, so thank you for your
You're
thoughtful
welcome.
presentation.
Laura.
Yeah, so I had two kind of topics. One is, and thank you for coming here and sharing all the information. So I have confidence in health at the county level and I have confidence in health at the state level. I'm a little worried at the federal level. Because if the direction coming from federal level seems sketchy to me, are you using your own filter, or what are you doing as you hear things from the federal level?
So I will say that we have to operate within whatever confines we have. This is why improving trust in us is really important, so that I can just say my messaging. For me, currently, the challenge is what's going to be available for us in Ulster County. Right now, there's no specific things that I'm aware of that we're limited, but we can see it down the line. It'll be a challenge if we want to be providing certain immunizations and they're not available to us. We don't know yet. It hasn't happened in real time. There's been challenges to identifying like which immunization, which strain should be used for influenza. It was eventually done. So I think that it's sort of hard to answer because I don't think this year is when I'm feeling it. I think if you ask me in a year from now, it might be a very different conversation. Most of the programming I have, the funding was already in the state's coffers. You know, so it's like nothing. Things are status quo from funding that last year we were given, so I don't know what next year will look like.
Yeah, okay, but it sounds like you're kind of ready for anything, it sounds like.
We're as best as we can without knowing what anything is.
Yeah, okay. And so my other question or topic is, I'm working with some people from Woodstock who are working with New York State Department of Health people on something called the Drinking Water Source Protection Plan. And we have somebody, I'm not remember the name of the person from the county, but they could be from your area. So we have a plan that New York State has helped us build for the town of Woodstock, of a plan of how we can be focused on the town's water. Not really water in every property, but the water, because the town does have a water district where we supply water and making sure that water is good. So a big topic is PFAS and PFAS, which seems to be creeping in every now and then, and we're under the levels of the different people's different levels of government set, but still there's a worry to have any. So I don't know how much you get involved with PFAS or PFAS showing up. And the other thing is, I didn't know whether maybe I should be copying you on the Drinking Water Source Protection Plan, which is not quite finalized, but it will be by the end of the year. I don't know whether you personally want to see it, or if it's enough that we've got somebody from your department.
Yeah, almost everything that comes to my department, I get forwarded or CC'd, so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, my struggle is, as I said in my second slide, like, we're dictated by what the state says. And we can only react or respond along with the regulations that the state says. So if the state's gonna say the level is 10 before you do anything, they don't just say it's 10 before you do anything, they say, all right, Department of Health, if it's 10 to 11, you do this. If it's 12 to 13, you do this. So we actually have very, very clear guidelines. The on a federal level, the level is much lower at 4, right? I did look into whether we can have a Ulster County local law that brought it down to 4 with its own set of, like, if it's 4 to 5, do this, and if it's 5 to 6. Unfortunately, it's one of those local laws, you can't do a local law. The state has to change it. We can't change in Ulster County. So we do that a lot in Ulster County. We had straw laws before other people did. We had plastic bag laws before other people did. Unfortunately, we cannot change the PFAS law. As a Department of Health, we're the system, not the water, so there's also not a lot I could do. We could focus on the machinery, but not necessarily the water itself. That's on a state level. But I encourage anyone who's interested in this, like, if lobbying needs to happen at a state level, they need to get with the program. They need to lower it down so that we are empowered to do what we have to do when it's at those levels. If the federal government wants every single water entity in the whole country to be down to 4 in 2030, I don't know what the state's waiting for it. So and if they can get it down, then it helps guide us on what we're allowed to do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions from the public, Rebecca?
Is it possible for you to put a link when you do put this up, because it gets put on the town website and then goes to YouTube or whatever, but put a link on the actual Facebook website, on the Facebook page for the town of Woodstock for a link for this? There are a lot of people in our community that would benefit, actually, when we do other presentations, but this has been incredibly informative. We have a lot of seniors that this would be helpful for, a lot of people in the community. They're not watching those meetings on Zoom, they're not here tonight. But if they look at Facebook and they see a specific note, and we had a presentation by the Ulster County Health Department that was incredibly helpful and informative, you should look. I think people would look.
Mike?
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, and thank you for coming. I live next door to a 5-family apartment house that was recently vacated after extremely high levels of toxic black mold were discovered in the building. The question I have for you is, does your department get directly involved with landlords who run toxic, unsafe buildings where children live? Or do you have to be invited in by the town to do an inspection? How does this work?
So there's the yes and the no. We will absolutely go to nuisance calls. We call them nuisance calls. So if somebody is in an apartment, it's too hot, it's too cold, they feel like there's exposures to something in that apartment that is making them unhappy, we absolutely will have someone come. The challenge is, depending on what the problem is, there's some things within our power to deal with and some that aren't, only mostly because of the training that our people have. So like, if it's something faulty in the plumbing or the piping or in the septic, they can guide them and say, you need to fix this with the septic. We can't tell them they have to, because but we can say, this is what your septic is supposed to be doing and why it's not. So, if the mold was caused by some kind of continuous water seepage that shouldn't be seeping, if it gets to water, we can look at it and we have engineers who could say, I think this is what's happening. If it's septic, we have engineers who could say, I think this is what's happening. But if it gets outside of our skill set, then there's not much they can do in terms of guide you, because they're not trained in those kinds of things. So anyone, now if you're asking about someone else, like if a nuisance call is made because you're like, I know that person lives in that apartment and it's no good, it's a little hard unless that person's gonna let us into their apartment.
So the person complaining about the nuisance has to be one of the tenants.
Or a tenant willing to let us
Right.
in. It's harder than you think. I mean, I'll just say that this isn't even that extreme nuisance, but for lead, we always send 2 out, because that can it almost gets dangerous sometimes for my technicians when they got a call and they're going to do a lead test and there's a tenant wants them and the landlord is furious about it. Like, we will not send 1 lead tech alone. We always send 2. So yeah, we have to be able to get in there, and then they can only speak to the stuff that they know.
Okay. Anyone else? Sarah?
Yeah, is there, within our town, is there a particular person you work with in our town? Is there an organization like Family of Woodstock? I know does a lot in our town, so if there were citizens in our town who are reaching out, normally our folks go to either our town office or they call Family of Woodstock. That's kind of what we're told. So I think this is more, someone else asked for this to be posted online. So this is great. This is great to know, but no one kind of knows where to go, or there's a lot of crossover.
Which is why I'm here.
And no, this is amazing to learn what we do, but there are so many stories of.
Yeah.
And where do we go, and now it's too late and people are.
Well, I'll say we will come if it makes sense. So we will come, like if there's an event and you say, look, we want your WIC people here, or we want your immunization people here to talk about it. We will come. I will even bring my nurses with immunizations if needed. The problem is, like, we're not gonna if our nurses just sort of showed up and said, all right, anyone who wants a shot, nobody's gonna do it. It's a waste of their time. But if a group of people said, we have this many people who would all like a measles booster, which we actually can do even if you're insured, because the state gave us some of those. For me, if it's at least 4 people, I will send a nurse to come, because it's, it is their time and energy and it's taking away. But if it's at least 4 people who are organized, who during 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock will be here to get a measles shot, I will bring my nurse here and they will deliver it.
But the proper way to go about it would be to contact Board of Health directly, is that what you're saying, not to go through our town?
Well, yeah, we're the risk person, so you come to us, the Department of Health, yeah. We have a phone and a website.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Walter, thank you very much
You're
for coming
welcome.
out. Thank you, and also thank you to Tim Rose, who's been very helpful with dealing with town water issue.
I'm glad. He's a good guy.
So,
Are we doing announcements?
do you have an announcement?
I do, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
So, as a domestic abuse survivor, my work continues to organize monthly meetup in Woodstock throughout the year to support women and trans women survivors of domestic abuse. This is in coordination with a domestic and sexual violence crisis counselor, advocate, and educator. This monthly support group helps to empower those of us who are survivors of domestic abuse. We ask that those who are interested to please send inquiries to woodstockdivas@gmail.com. Thank you.
Maria, I know that a couple of weeks ago, I got a call from somebody who was looking for contact. Is it appropriate to give out your cell number, which is in the county book? Or the email, what's the best way?
They can email me at my town, it's
Okay.
fine, or woodstockdivas@gmail.
Okay, perfect. All right, with that, I will go into some resolutions. Be it resolved to accept the town clerk's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved to authorize payment of vouchers in the amount of $582,824.14.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to hire Ada Helm as court clerk effective September 2nd, 2025 at the hourly rate of $25.69.
Second.
Discuss.
I had earlier sent an email to all of the two board members and noted that this is a two-step process. That first, the town of Woodstock has a process. And then second, the court itself has a process. And that the town's process for filling this vacancy remains incomplete. And I would ask that,
Actually, that's not true, Ben. The process spelled out in the CWA contract was completed. You got a copy of her application, which I forwarded to you again today.
so, the process was not completed.
Okay.
There was no, employment verification, request form, no background verification authorization form, no hold harmless statement. There's no credit check or, consumer report. And the town of Woodstock is the hirer of this person. The first level in this hiring must be done according to the town of Woodstock. Not just the CWA contract. There are multiple
true.
steps. There are multiple steps that need to be done. So I would ask that we wait until this process is complete. We were told earlier that because we were not being diligent, that we needed to find out
You've had
more information.
several weeks to be diligent. And did you contact the judges?
Yes, I did.
And they didn't answer your questions?
No, they did not.
Okay, well, I'll call the question and we'll see how it goes. All in favor?
I,
Abstain.
Abstain.
Okay, so that fails.
And I guess I have a concern that, I think we're hurting the court
course
perhaps,
we are.
because they need somebody, I'm not calling the date that they want for left. But
End of July.
the end of July, so it's like, we're kind of like a speed bump, we're slowing things down, and it's gonna hurt the court. I know the court was very, positive about the person, we've had, multiple pieces of information about the court being positive about the person. And it's unfortunate we're hurting the court.
We are required to do our due diligence, and that's what we are attempting to do. So until we have all of the information, then we can.
You should have found about it from the judges, but I'll let them know. They're dissatisfied with with their answers. Whereas the town of Woodstock is party to an Article 7 tax certiorari proceeding titled Rubenstein versus Woodstock, bearing index number EF 2024-1843 and EF 2025-2373. Supreme Court in the state of New York, Ulster County. And whereas the parties have reached a settlement agreement in terms of which were outlined in the attached consent judgment, which I sent you all. And whereas Woodstock Town Board has reviewed the terms of the proposed settlement and finds them to be in the best interest of the town and the taxpayers. I would add, our attorney has indicated the same. Now therefore be it resolved, Town Board, Woodstock hereby approves the settlement, the Article 7 tax certiorari matter in the case of Rubenstein versus Woodstock as set forth in the attached consent judgment. Vanderwater and Vanderwater LLP are hereby authorized and directed to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the settlement, including but not limited to the consent judgment, and to take further actions required to finalize the settlement. This resolution should take effect immediately upon adoption.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Where is the Woodstock Town Board and Resolution 119-2025 authorized the transfer of up to $150,000 from the Highway Repair Reserve type fund pursuant to permissive referendum, and whereas the time to file and execute such permissive referendum has expired, now therefore be it resolved to transfer $150,000 from the Highway Repair Reserve Fund type fund to Daniel Road Capital H024011.105.
Second.
Discuss.
I sat down and had a conversation with the highway superintendent, Don Allen. Thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate that. And I reviewed the Gifford Engineering invoice. And I reviewed 2 Bernier Larios invoices. In addition, I looked at the Martin Geo Engineering submission, who was a subcontractor. All of these could be paid for with the highway, with the McDaniel Road Capital Fund, as opposed to coming from the operating budget of the highway department. The amount there would total $17,332,050. And I might add, those have already been spent. In looking at the slope, its deterioration, and I think that what we have agreed to and discussed is that
Who's with? Just to be clear, are you referring to you and Don?
I was talking about me and the highway superintendent.
Okay.
You'll know full well when we agree on something, Bill. Is that I would like to propose an amendment to this to transfer $25,000 from the highway repair reserve type fund to the McDaniel Road Capital. So that this will leave almost $8,000 of funds, which they may use for studying how they are going to come up with a plan to estimate what this will cost, as opposed to continue to do work and ask for funding. That is what I would prefer to
Keep in mind that the 150 includes monies to actually do the work.
I do understand that, and
All right,
that is why.
So I'll make an
and
amendment,
that's why-
I'll make an amendment to, why don't we call it 30, we give it a little wiggle.
No, I would like it to be 25. I spoke with Don Allen about this.
Down
Weigh in.
25,
How do you feel about 25?
I'm not getting in the middle of you two.
Okay.
As long as I can pay my engineers, because the engineers won't move forward unless they get paid. And I want some wiggle room for the next meeting.
Okay.
where we-
I will amend it
But
to
it's just-
$25,000.
25 give you what you need.
Fair, but
Okay.
We'll get through it.
And
So-
it's a little inefficient to have to keep coming back to the well.
pose.
Because we know that the work has to be done, so this doesn't appear to, I mean, if that's all we can give you right now, that's all we can give you right
Yeah,
now.
that keeps everything transparent as we move along, rather than just throwing a
I
big.
did,
pot of money.
that.
Well, but what you don't, you're not realizing, Lorianne, is that any contract has to be approved by the town.
You're not realizing
It's
it's
all-
real, yeah.
You're not,
You're
so
not.
I will amend the
The
resolution
man.
to read $25,000. Laura, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to approve the CHA consulting contract.
Second.
That was forwarded to you. That's the yearly contract to monitor the town landfill.
Correct, I read it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to authorize the supervisor to forward a request to the New York State DOT to install no parking signs on 2531 Route 212 and 2535 Route 212, which is Big D.
Second.
Discuss.
Discuss.
I moved to table this because we have heard from both Wet and Complete Streets that there is a need for a more thorough study, both for safety concerns as well as environmental factors.
Second.
I'd like to discuss
Well, wait a
that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to discuss that point. So when I read what the WAC sent, it is true that for Big Deep and Little Deep, there are a list of things to look into. However, I saw nothing on the list that the New York State DOT has to handle. The only thing that I saw of what I had read from the WEC and Complete Streets, what I saw was they had other things to be looked into, but they did not affect Route 212 itself and this parking situation that is life threatening for the people that have to come out and they can't see oncoming traffic. So it's very unfortunate that we want to wait and boil the ocean, so to speak. We want to solve all the problems. We can solve, this is the only New York State DOT request we're making. In my opinion, we can make this request and fix this part of the problem while we work on deep diving how to solve the rest of the problem. And I did.
And identify the rest of
And
it.
identify the rest of the problem and figure out how to solve it. This piece has a solution laid out. And to hold up on that, when we're telling people they can risk their lives, risk having car accidents, risk a lot of stuff. We're putting people's lives at risk, frankly, because we want to wait till we have a perfect solution that solves every big deep problem. We know the problem on the street, we know we need no parking signs. I think it's very unfortunate for the people whose life is at risk to say, hey, we're gonna make you wait.
I think it was very clear that the Complete Streets said that there was a concern that if you put them in one place, people would go to another place. They really needed to study more thoroughly to offer a holistic approach. And that a more comprehensive study or deep dive, as you put it, into this might in fact bring DOT's expertise to be needed. So we can't assume that this is the only thing that we would be asking DOT for.
Okay, I'm gonna call the question on the motion to table. All in favor?
To table.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay,
Motion fails. All in favor of the resolution?
aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Resolution fails. Jackie, did you have an announcement that you wanted to
Do
make?
you want to wait till after public paper?
That's fine, go ahead. You wanna grab public people there?
Rebecca, turn it over.
Oh,
Right.
very short. It's readily apparent that there's a lot of angst in the board tonight. They have brought up a good point, and it comes to hiring, and I'm not trying to make a beat up process, but he's correct. If you go to the employee handbook and you look at, and this is, I don't know what you were doing a year ago or 2 years ago or 4 years ago in the hiring process, but Bennett is correct on this particular point. Those things would all be done before you have this actual vote.
He's actually,
If you want,
he's not correct, but go.
well, I was rereading it again to make sure I was reading it properly, maybe I don't understand. I think that it. Going forward, I think it's totally appropriate that it be done this way for obvious good reason. And it can be, you can go around asking for those things before you actually have this vote. But that would have to be by the board, can make alterations to the hiring plan each time, not one person on the board.
But we do follow the CWA contract for hiring contracted employees. So-
You do, but before you actually get to that part, there is that earlier process. Which is spelled out in our employee handbook.
That's all I'm getting.
Michael Platsky.
As luck had it, I worked late for like the last three town board meetings, and so I would be kind of active. With that new town employee, the controversial new town employee, and I keep reflecting back to raising a daughter in this town. 25 years ago, she was 13. I was in my 40s. And I wasn't the same cool, calm, collected gentleman that I am today. And I don't know if I would have been able to control my anger at the way that process developed, and how protocols weren't followed. And as upset as I would have been, my wife would have been hurricane happy. So I really think there needs to be some reflection. I still believe in second chances, but they need to be appropriate. It's not an appropriate position for this man, who I feel bad for because his name is all over the community now and it's been villainized. It didn't have to be that way if things were handled better. So I just wanted to say my piece about that. I would check the temperature in Hill, but I'm gonna thank Bennett for being on top of this and doing what he can to try to break it down.
Thank you, Michael.
How does it work?
You're up, Iris.
Here I am. Last week, Fanny brought up about the flags on the poles in town, and I'm just wondering if anything's gonna be done about it. Usually flags are part of like Memorial Day, July 4th, we even had our fireworks. And I think you mentioned like who put them up, I didn't catch that last
The
week.
American Legion.
American
Legion,
Our Legion? Our Legion put it
Can
up.
someone silence their phone, please?
So I just wondered what was gonna happen, if anything.
Why don't you go ask the Legion?
What?
Go ask the Legion.
They are the owners of this town.
Who should I call,
Right.
Terry or
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll tell it.
call Terry?
Terry.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
excuse me. Around.
Excuse me,
Jackie, you have the floor?
yes. So. I sent out an email letting the board know that my first deputy is planning on retiring in October.
I'm sorry, I
And-
didn't hear you.
Her first deputy is retiring in sometime in October.
You mean Lynn? Lynn?
Let's.
Oh, okay.
So New York State Town Law, Section 30, gives me, as your town clerk, the authority to appoint deputies. So I am appointing Megan Raimondo as part-time first deputy beginning September 8th, 2025. And once again, I would hope that people would reach out to her.
Yeah, I have, I think she's gonna be perfect, I think you found somebody who will be a perfect fit. And she's, seems to have a great attitude, great, she's ready to go.
Yeah.
She'll bring some good energy to the department, and Lynn will be hard to replace, but I think that she's ready to jump in, learn, and do the right things, and be supportive, and be in the background. Not looking to be, having to be in the limelight, just get the job done, and I had a great conversation with her.
Thank you.
As did I. Jackie, I'm sorry, did you say when that would take effect?
March 8th, I mean, sorry, September.
September, okay. All right, with that, move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah.